I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today for what is literally going to be a fascinating deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a highly esoteric, super abstract text that explores this giant puzzle of the universal cycle of elements and the profound duality of the human soul. Now, real quick, before we begin, I want to be crystal clear. We're stepping into a realm of deep philosophical and metaphysical theory today. We're not here to take a stance on traditional scientific validity, but rather to impartially explore the beautifully complex architecture of existence that this source material presents. It's a journey that's going to totally challenge how we view our bodies, our environment, and honestly, the whole universe. So I want to kick things off by posing a question directly to you. Where does the carbon we consume actually go? Seriously, keep that question right in the back of your mind. I mean, it sounds like a simple biology test question, right? But as we start peeling back the tangible, visible layers of the physical world, according to this text, you're going to see that the answer is anything but simple. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the universal cycle of elements. Second, the human carbon mystery. 3, 2 tables of sustenance. 4, the wife and the mistress. And finally, number 5, the path to universal travel. All right, starting off with section 1, universal cycle of elements, specifically looking at the interdependence of life. Our text actually begins right here in the familiar physical world. It presents this wild concept of secondhand consumption. You know, modern science kind of oversimplifies our breathing as just taking in oxygen and nitrogen. But the text argues that humans and plants exist in this continuous, intimate cycle of basically regurgitating elements for each other. Think about it. A tree absorbs carbon dioxide, uses that carbon to build its physical structure, its trunk, its branches, and then releases oxygen, but also cosmic gases and energies. We, in turn, inhale that exact mix. When you're sitting in a room with a loved one, you are literally absorbing the air they just exhaled. We survive only by eating from each other's cosmic plate, so to speak. Without this shared cycle of breath and energy, none of us survive. Moving on to section 2, the human carbon mystery, and what the text calls the cremation paradox. Now, this brings us to a biological anomaly that really acts as the inciting incident for today's text. It challenges what traditional science tends to oversimplify. Let's think about this cremation paradox. A tree converts the carbon from CO2 into solid wood, right? When you burn a piece of oak or pine, it leaves behind a significant amount of carbon, charcoal, ash. Yet humans, who consume vastly more carbon through our super complex diets of sugars, meats, and grains, leave almost zero carbon residue after the intense heat of cremation. To put that into perspective, if we're taking in 10 times more carbon than a tree over a lifetime, why on earth is there nearly zero left behind? Well, the source material asks this exact question directly. It says, what did all these carbons which man uses on the daily basis become part of? Or is it a trap for absorbing more and more cosmic rays to the soul of the man? Just let that heavy philosophical weight breathe for a second. A trap. The text is proposing that human carbon doesn't just build physical tissue, it actually acts as a magnetic trap, pulling invisible cosmic rays into our being to construct and feed the human soul. And this idea? It completely redefines human evolution. According to this philosophy, eating a wide diversity of carbon-heavy foods, like your grains, your meats, your complex sugars, allows us to absorb a beautifully varied spectrum of cosmic energy. It's not like a cow that eats a pretty mono-energetic diet of just grass. Humans take in this huge diversity of elements, and the text asserts that it is exactly this diversity of absorbed cosmic energy that directly creates human intelligence, our physical complexity, and our vast array of emotions, from deep, fiery anger to profound joy. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to section 3, 2 tables of sustenance. We're talking about feeding the body and the soul. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how we actually nourish ourselves metaphysically. Since carbon traps cosmic rays, the text suggests we're essentially living a dual existence, feeding at 2 entirely different tables at the exact same time. On the left side, we have the table of physicality. This is your everyday earthly food, water, minerals. The stuff that feeds your physical body. But on the right side, we have the table of the soul, which requires cosmic rays and universal energy plasmas. The source gives a pretty striking warning here. Just like your physical body can get, say, a vitamin C deficiency, your soul will literally starve if it's isolated from these cosmic energies. Both tables absolutely have to be served. Which leads us straight into the climax of our text in section 4, the wife and the mistress, exploring the duality of man. And this brilliantly illustrates the text's most provocative metaphor. How do we balance these two tables? Well, the source uses the analogy of a man with a wife and a mistress. The wife represents our physical life. It's our awake state, it's seen and totally acknowledged by society, but ultimately it's bound to the earth. The mistress, on the other hand, represents the human soul. It operates entirely in the hidden realm, often denied or kept completely secret from society, and its main action is to travel the cosmos. So, what exactly happens when we sleep? According to the text, sleep isn't just simple physical rest. Actually, scratch that. It defines sleep as a cover-up. It's this necessary illusion where our physicality, the wife, allows the soul, the mistress, to go out and travel the span of the universe. But here's the catch. The physical body maintains a strict leash on the soul. Our physical cleverness basically dictates when the soul gets to go out, under the guise of just needing a little repair job, and then forcefully pulls the leash to bring it right back when it's time to wake up. But you know, the really crucial takeaway from this metaphor isn't about deception at all. It's about integration. The text explains that the mother principle, meaning the creator, actually designed both dimensions. Both the physical life and the soul were created for total enjoyment. Yet society kind of forces us to hide the soul, the mistress, in shame, living this life of denial where we pretend we only exist physically. The source argues that true maturity happens when we stop lying to ourselves, drop that societal shame, and integrate both dimensions, because they live in the exact same house and are fueled by the exact same source. Let's move to our final section and see how this builds. Section 5, Path to Universal Travel, focusing on transmutation versus transportation. Okay, so how does this duality affect our ultimate potential? Because once a human truly accepts both the physical and the soul, physical vehicles become, frankly, completely unnecessary. A mature understanding of these teachings leads to this profound realization. True universal travel doesn't happen in cars or, giant metal rocket missiles. It occurs through transmutation, by tuning into the cosmic rays of the universe. It requires understanding that the soul and the physicality actually share the exact same emotions. And by tuning into the correct isotopes of that shared emotion, one can travel the cosmos effortlessly. The text breaks down this final concept through a beautifully simple analogy. Imagine a single rope, or maybe a staircase. One end is anchored securely right to the physical ground of Earth, and the other hangs way up in the cosmic tree of the universe. The connection never ever changes. It's the exact same lifeline. At nighttime, you climb up the rope to live among the stars with the mistress, your soul, and at daytime, you climb down that exact same rope to place your feet firmly on the ground with the wife, your physicality. The rope is always there. You are just constantly choosing your position along that one singular continuum. So the crucial point we're leaving you with is this. The rope is there, firmly tethering your earthly body to the vast cosmic expanse of your
Od
soul.
jakiegoś czasu nie ma
You aren't just a
napisu.
physical
Halo.
being, and you aren't just floating energy. You are the profound, living link between the two. The elements you consume, the air you breathe, the emotions you feel, they are all vehicles for this amazing journey. Knowing that you possess this incredible dual capacity to experience both the grounded earth and the boundless universe, which end of the rope will you choose to climb? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this leaves you looking at the world and yourself in a completely new light.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 642nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 14th, 2026. This is a broadcast of the Kesh Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I will be host once again in this weekly continuous series of
Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today for what is literally going to be a fascinating deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a highly esoteric, super abstract text that explores this giant puzzle of the universal cycle of elements and the profound duality of the human soul. Now, real quick, before we begin, I want to be crystal clear. We're stepping into a realm of deep philosophical and metaphysical theory today. We're not here to take a stance on traditional scientific validity, but rather to impartially explore the beautifully complex architecture of existence that this source material presents. It's a journey that's going to totally challenge how we view our bodies, our environment, and honestly, the whole universe. So I want to kick things off by posing a question directly to you. Where does the carbon we consume actually go? Seriously, keep that question right in the back of your mind. I mean, it sounds like a simple biology test question, right? But as we start peeling back the tangible, visible layers of the physical world, according to this text, you're going to see that the answer is anything but simple. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the universal cycle of elements. Second, the human carbon mystery. 3, 2 tables of sustenance. 4, the wife and the mistress. And finally, number 5, the path to universal travel. All right, starting off with section 1, universal cycle of elements, specifically looking at the interdependence of life. Our text actually begins right here in the familiar physical world. It presents this wild concept of secondhand consumption. You know, modern science kind of oversimplifies our breathing as just taking in oxygen and nitrogen. But the text argues that humans and plants exist in this continuous, intimate cycle of basically regurgitating elements for each other. Think about it. A tree absorbs carbon dioxide, uses that carbon to build its physical structure, its trunk, its branches, and then releases oxygen, but also cosmic gases and energies. We, in turn, inhale that exact mix. When you're sitting in a room with a loved one, you are literally absorbing the air they just exhaled. We survive only by eating from each other's cosmic plate, so to speak. Without this shared cycle of breath and energy, none of us survive. Moving on to section 2, the human carbon mystery, and what the text calls the cremation paradox. Now, this brings us to a biological anomaly that really acts as the inciting incident for today's text. It challenges what traditional science tends to oversimplify. Let's think about this cremation paradox. A tree converts the carbon from CO2 into solid wood, right? When you burn a piece of oak or pine, it leaves behind a significant amount of carbon, charcoal, ash. Yet humans, who consume vastly more carbon through our super complex diets of sugars, meats, and grains, leave almost zero carbon residue after the intense heat of cremation. To put that into perspective, if we're taking in 10 times more carbon than a tree over a lifetime, why on earth is there nearly zero left behind? Well, the source material asks this exact question directly. It says, what did all these carbons which man uses on the daily basis become part of? Or is it a trap for absorbing more and more cosmic rays to the soul of the man? Just let that heavy philosophical weight breathe for a second. A trap. The text is proposing that human carbon doesn't just build physical tissue, it actually acts as a magnetic trap, pulling invisible cosmic rays into our being to construct and feed the human soul. And this idea? It completely redefines human evolution. According to this philosophy, eating a wide diversity of carbon-heavy foods, like your grains, your meats, your complex sugars, allows us to absorb a beautifully varied spectrum of cosmic energy. It's not like a cow that eats a pretty mono-energetic diet of just grass. Humans take in this huge diversity of elements, and the text asserts that it is exactly this diversity of absorbed cosmic energy that directly creates human intelligence, our physical complexity, and our vast array of emotions, from deep, fiery anger to profound joy. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to section 3, 2 tables of sustenance. We're talking about feeding the body and the soul. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how we actually nourish ourselves metaphysically. Since carbon traps cosmic rays, the text suggests we're essentially living a dual existence, feeding at 2 entirely different tables at the exact same time. On the left side, we have the table of physicality. This is your everyday earthly food, water, minerals. The stuff that feeds your physical body. But on the right side, we have the table of the soul, which requires cosmic rays and universal energy plasmas. The source
Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 14th, 2026. This is a broadcast of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I will be host once again in this weekly continuous series of workshops ongoing for many years, well over a decade now. And once again, we have Mr. Mayran Kesh as our teacher here today. And I believe he's ready, willing, and able to present today's program. Please go ahead, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this, is Knowledge Seekers from Kesh Foundation and Special Institute. We entered a new dimension and we understood a lot of things about ourselves last week. Now, the biggest question is, what's the name of your mistress? The wife has a title, the wife has a name, wife has a dress. Wife gives birth to children, and wife cooks and cleans. In a physical dimension, you're called Mrs. Blah Blah. You're a doctor. You have 2 children. You live in a fancy house. You drive an expensive car because of your education somebody paid for. And if you were born 2 centuries ago, most probably you've been sitting on a donkey and used to be washing by the rivers, which most probably 1/5 of the population of this planet does. So your wife, whatever, you live in a little village, wash by the river, cook from what the wood gives you in the environment, and what the hunter-gatherer called the husband brings for you to do. Hello, doctor, and hello, Mrs. These are your titles in the physical life. Ask yourself one question. When you go to sleep and the soul is free, the mistress, what's his name? Does he carry a title? Does he have children? What is his address? Does he go to university? And so many other questions. Interesting is, the wife and the mistress are hunter and gatherer for each other, without them knowing. But one has a title and one doesn't. In a physical dimension, the wife goes around picking, gathering degrees and education, going to the park, eating the most fancy foods, all to be bio, and the rest of it to have a clean body. But in fact, that bio allows you, restricts you to gather that carbon factor which can be given to your soul that it needs. Is the evolution in the science of food of the man accessing different carbons from the coal mines, which you fancily play the numbers on the back of the bottles of drink you have and the food you eat, brings that carbon spectrum which the soul was missing. Has the wife started feeding the mistress with what it needs? Or the other side is, as the mistress has been feeding the hidden fruits of the universe to the wife, that's how they knew each other, is getting fed. That does not need to consume so much of the man's food through the combination of the carbons from the mines, from the woods which the trees left behind, makes that connection which was shortened, was not there for the man of human race to connect to the Creator. In a way, in a hidden way, the education, development, and scientific reach of the man in a hidden sugar coating colors has started feeding our soul. What was missing in the dimension of the physicality. Interesting enough is, if you go back to the teachings of past decades, always mentioned, when you die, your soul lives in space, where it'll find its new place. But does it take the physicality with it? Or does it say, goodbye, I'm gone, you are on your own and you do what you like, I don't need you anymore. In the past couple of weeks, our beautiful Russian scientists have actually, for the first time, tracked the path of the soul once leaves the life, the physical dimension. It rockets through the space like a light, but they haven't traced it after the atmosphere where it goes to. But for the first time, now what we said for decades, that the soul leaves to find in space, is physically tracked, physically shown. It's like a shooting star leaving into space to find its place. But the biggest question is, now scientifically, we have another proof of what has been taught in past, God knows, years, in this 12 years, is where does this mistress go? And the other point is that the scientists just waited for the second the soul departs for good. What about every night when you go to sleep and Dr. So-and-so goes to rest and the soul goes to play, the mistress is out. Now our scientists have to find out what happens in that point. But the question is, what is his title? Is it still Mrs.? Does it still have the same lover as a physical life lover? Has he got children that the wife and the husband doesn't know? The wife in the dimension of physicality give birth to children, with the mistress having another mistress, creating the lovers of children in the dimension of universe. Now you understand. You are nobody. You are nothing. The minute you put that head down, titles don't exist. Wealth is irrelevant. Sleeping on the stone or the fanciest beds in the universe of a man has no dimension in the dimension of the universe. In the dimension of the soul of the man, where the mistress goes, quite possible that the mistress has already have established another house in another position with another mistress, another soul. She plays a game on both sides with a man in the dimension of physicality and another partner in the dimension of the soul of the creation. As the two do not quit, as the dimension of the soul of the man in the dimension of physicality has no meaning in the other dimension. One is in one side of the universe has a house, and then the other on the other side. One is close to the Creator and one is the further impossible. One is the head of the army, ordering killing in the presence of one nation, and peaceful but killing thousands, sits in the back end of the row thinking he's good. Then the mistress of the wife sits close to the Creator, where the wife is shared in both dimensions of physicality and in dimension of the soul. Now you understand all that you as humans are proud of, the titles, the papers, the money and the clothes and who you speak to. The minute you put your head down has no value. You are Mrs. Nobody, as the mistress is playing the dimension of the universe. But there is one point you have forgotten. Every cell of the body of the man has a soul, and every human has a collective soul. As much as the man in the dimension of physicality eats to feed the physicality, to give some more to the soul, while the physicality is asleep, houses the universal energy that it brings food home for the wife to live in the dimension of the soul of every cell. It's not all one-way traffic. Then if you understood this, you understand why even the new headsets we put on you for dimension of the transmutation only concentrates on the soul of the man and not the physicality. This is why we threw those big eggs you saw in the exhibitions in the doldrum of storage, because we were feeding the physicality and the soul was not happy. And the new system that you received and you see covers only your soul in every dimension. So we don't need to feed you in the dimension of physicality, we feed you in the dimension of the soul, exactly what the mistress was doing while you pretend to be asleep. Now you understand the technology of the science is in the hand of the man in the new dimensions. It's for man to accept the both dimensions of existence, the wife and the mistress, and knowing as much as the wife has a fancy cars and a house here, the soul has its own dimension. Have you ever asked the soul, take me where you want? Can I see your family? Have you children? Do you have parents? And then you understand a big point. As the soul of the man feeds every cell of the man during the physical sleep of the time of the man. When the man has that urge to create a child in the womb of the woman, the sperm which reaches the soul of the host of the mother is decided by the soul, not by chromosomes. The soul which becomes a child is already decided by the soul of the woman and the soul of the man. It is not accidental as they tell you, oh, the strongest swims. No, darling. The soul of the mother in the egg has already made its match. You match this, you come in. I don't need any others. The science of the man is so absurd about the world of creation that does not even understand the simplest process of the creation. You're always told, oh, poor sperm, he has to swim all the way, and then if he breaks through. Now that you understand that the soul is exactly like a plasma, like a magnet, like a star, it has polarity, only attracts what it matches it and nothing else. Can you attract copper to steel magnet? Can you attract wood to the iron? It has to match. So now we understand another mystery of life the way you misunderstood. The egg, at the point of even being created in his soul, in his collective soul of every element inside it, has already found collective match with and in parallel with the soul of the egg. Now, another mystery of science for you resolved. All this rubbish, oh, the strongest, he loses his tail and he swims all the way. His destiny was set from the minute before it leaves the testicle of the man. Just understand the law of physics. You cannot barge your way in. The cell is tight. Millions knock at it, can't get in. How come you get in the single egg out of billions? Because the decision of the soul in what egg will accept which sperm is already decided by the two souls. Does not matter if you raped, if you made love to, if you made the decision to make a child. The egg has already decided the receptive, the reason. You have an affair, you get yourself pregnant, then you hide it from the husband. Then you think that's it. But you don't know that the soul of the egg has already plans for you when to open your deception. When the egg and the soul of the sperm have already set the pattern for deception to be known later on. So you thought you were clever, but in fact, it's wide open, and all the souls in the universe can see. Then now you have to redefine the science of man in all the fallacies that is made, in everything that he made the speed of light to be the absolute limit, to everything that you know and you thought about your creation. As much as the soul of the man takes from the physicality to mature itself, the soul of the man brings enough food that it can feed the soul of every single cell that the physicality of the man carries, that he has not got the capability to nourish. And this is how we feed the man through the soul from now on, that he feeds the right feelings to the cells, that no man shall will kill, no man shall will destroy, no man will live the life the present presidents of the universe live and shake hand on the front pages of the news. One murderer greeting another. One kills officially and one kills hiddenly. And this is what the pattern of life is. This is what man has to realize. Every soul and his destiny is set in the dimension of physicality. Then man has need to understand one truth about himself. Shall I live in both dimensions? Or shall I still play the game of hide and seek that everybody else knows? Now you understand why the children of Mitra come from the souls and not from the sperm and egg. Then there is no dimension of physicality to mix in it, that it takes the revenge on what is done. The soul of the male and a female in their inner soul, inner being, does not need to be divided and placed in a little fishy things to swim, but it travels untouched by the dimension of physicality, to create the soul of the child, which has no attachment, no need, and no guilt. The children of Mitra are perfection. The children of Mitra are planned designs for decades and centuries before even man was created, let alone the future destiny of the humanity. Now, you understand the riddle. Then, who likes to make a child with a creator? As the soul of the creator is the soul of both the mother and the father. Creator of both and the nourisher of both. And then you understand how Mitra was born and how the children of Mitra will run the span of the universe. Do not forget, they possess every field that exists in the universe. United Nations went and found tens of thousands of women taking samples to find the original mother. But they came to another conclusion, that the mother is within the mother, created by the mother. Now you understand how the collective soul of the man and the rest of the collective soul of the universe are all within parameters, strength of the soul of the creator. The collective soul of the creator is the soul of the creator. I made man in the image of myself as I was made by the image of the man. Now you understand. Man betrayed his creator and kills. And the creator took revenge and created daughter of Mitras that will be perfection and like him and not in the dimension of physicality. And now we are aware of both. We change man. Man shall not kill. Man shall live by the ethos of Mitra. As you don't think bad, you don't need to do wrong, and not doing wrong. You don't need to do anything. You talk good, you act good, and you think good. And this is the essence of the Keshe Foundation coin. When we give the richness to the child from the second born to the parents and to the life, does not need to commit suicide. It's the Chinese policy. You do not make the ground fertile for a man to do a crime, and man does not need to do a crime. Now you understand why we give coins to man on this planet. That from moment of birth, mother does not need to steal, mother does not need to worry about what happens to that child. The child will be born in a lap of luxury and availability, that the perfect child, as it was chosen by the perfect life of the soul of the man, is created. We are not nourishing a hungry child in Africa. We are making sure that the daughters of Mitra live a perfect life, that they do not need to attempt to do anything wrong, that their soul will be tainted by the wrongdoing of the physicality. The work of the Keshe Foundation is work of the Creator, but man does not understand. Now you understand where we are going, and maybe now you understand as much as you thought you eat and run, your new technologies of creating different carbons in different colors which attracts you like a butterfly to the light is feeding, saying to the soul what I need. And then while you are in your dream, Madam Doctor, you're nobody at all. You have no names, no tags, no degrees, and the universe has no mosques and no universities, is fully graduated itself at the point of birth, does not need you. And this is why it leaves you when the time comes and you call it death. So next time you put your head on the pillow, ask yourself, Mrs. Doctor and Mr. Professor and Mr. Farmer, what is my name on the other side? What position do I hold? Or am I all the same, a light in the night of the skies of the Creator, where even if I had the right strength in my soul, I will not see darkness. It's as light as it is in the soul of the Creator. I hope you knowledge seekers understand the process of the teaching of today and how you as knowledge seekers are the front runners to that point. Now you understand the purpose of the Universal Council members, and then you understand what is about to come. One question I put to you that for you to understand. Man in a physical life nowadays has become clever and puts an egg and a sperm in a tube and creates test tubes. Do you think such a thing exists in the dimension of the soul, that you can create the children of Mitra? Never shall, as it possesses the light of the Creator. You create souls in this planet in the glass. We create soul in the freedom of the span of the universe. Now you have to learn how to nourish it. And now you have to learn how to polish it to become as good, as perfect as its Creator. Next time you decide to have a child, think what has been done with the center of the sperm soul before you think about what I'm going to do is with this physicality. The only thing man does not understand is that the soul in the dimension of physicality is a collective history book of the man in the dimension of physicality printed in the soul. Next time you're having an affair, next time you cuddle another woman, next time you kiss another man, and you might carry the burden of the life, remember the souls have decided punishment, not the physicality. And you're just acting in the hand of mistress as you thought you feed the mistress. Man has to learn, has no choice but to understand the truth about the two dimensions he lives. It's like walking on the street with a zombie in your hand, and you're the only one who sees the zombie. Are you walking on Earth? Or have you traveled the span of the universe where the universal community can see the zombie? Next time, think of your titles, your names, your possessions, and your position, and you find out that lasts as long as that head does not hit the pillow. You have no name, you have no destiny, and you have nothing if you do not understand that before you go to bed, prepare to hand over, love the soul, and tell her, bring back for me what allows me to be perfect in the dimension of physicality. Then you understand you need the mistress more than the mistress needs you. Because once it leaves, it has a new life. Does not matter with your physical life or when the physicality stops to exist. I hope you understand about yourself, nobody else. Never compare, but try to live the life of Mitra. is not to be, to own, is to understand that man has no possession and no position. Say it's a bad. Doesn't matter if you're a king, president, Mrs. Doctor, and Mr. Street Cleaner. Once you put your head on that pillow, you have no title, you have no name, and only your soul knows where they go. And sometimes when they are working and playing in their dimensions of the field of life, you shiver and shake in bed because you're eardropping and eavesdropping to see what they do, and you don't like it, and you shake and you get up. But they're already busy playing in the dimension of the fields of the universe, and you're trapped, stuck to the sheets and the bed in the dimension of physicality, and the only thing you can do is shake and shiver, because they don't let you in, as the soul of the physicality of the man has got his hand covered with the blood of physicality, destroying others. Now understand why you shake and what you move and what you see in the dimension of the sleep and your dreams, as you're just a bystander and a man behind the glass watching what goes on in the fish tank of the universe, which your soul plays and you have no say. We go for a break, and I hope I start getting you to think what to say, what to do, and what to think. Living the life of Mitra is just a word, is the act to have the perfect soul for its dimension. And when the emotion of the physicality and the emotion of the soul are the same, then you find your way to transmutation in every dimension of the universe and non dimension of physicality. We go for a break, come back and try to answer any of your questions. Rick, take us for a break, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. All right, well, that completes our first part of the program here on the 642nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop. As Mr. Kesh mentioned, there'll be a second part where folks, our attendees here in the Zoom will have the opportunity to raise your virtual hand, and then we can open your microphone if you would like to speak. And if you have a question you'd like to put in as text, you can do that into the webinar chat or in the Q&A here in Zoom or in the YouTube chat as well. Okay, we will be back.
water is the foundation of our life. It is part of every living creature. Pure water gives you the energy of nature. Now, you can have this energy in your home. The Kesh Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer is designed for your daily well-being. It increases the pH of the water so your body can absorb more oxygen and stay in its natural condition during the day. Kesh Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer. Be pure like the water.
Hello. We are the Kesh Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshfoundation.org/donate.
Okay, we are back again at the 642nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop, Part 2. And as mentioned, there is an opportunity to ask questions personally of Mr. Kesh, our attendees here. You should have a virtual hand option that you can raise, and we can acknowledge that and open your mic, or allow your mic to be opened. So consider that if you have a question. Otherwise, we have questions in the Q&A, and but we'll begin with Mr. Kesh speaking about current events before we begin the questions. Go ahead, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you very much. Couple of points. As you are all aware, we were still to have a session for the transmutation, the last of the series. Our systems are not ready yet, and we won't do this session till the system gets ready, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Everything is set up for our experts to do their job, and hopefully once they complete, we invite you back. The date set for tomorrow is not there. It will not be a session till the what we call technicals is resolved. In respect to our Chinese friends to give us the video for agriculture, I have not received it at the moment yet. Still waiting for it. I was hoping we'll have it today, and they'll come to it. If you're on a Chinese website, you should be able to find it. It's already promoted in Chinese products you can order. We're building one of the most advanced space cities in the history of the man, using the cosmic rays and the work of the universe and the rocket fuel and the rest of it. And I'm sure many of you gradually join us to build this city, to build the structure, as some of you already have. And in the past 2 or 3 days, strange things has happened in this with the people who are involved in this what I call journey. Very interesting. Knowledge seekers and not knowledge seekers are traveling back and forth without even us knowing, in trying to be there to make sure things happen perfect. And a team of knowledge seekers who work on this just go in. It's a job to do for the rest of humanity. No one asks, no one requested. It's just there, a mission to be done. And this taking shape. I hope we can show it to you soon. One of the most peaceful, advanced places for science and technology. Even though it's been going on for a short time, we have located the first spin-off from a non-knowledge seeker who became a knowledge seeker, and he wants to keep the ethos. So the Spaceship Institute of what we call Keshe Foundation Space City has got its first commercial spin-off structure on the board, not by request of the foundation, but by the request of the person who himself was not a knowledge seeker, and he came to see how he could mix his knowledge and the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation to bring more beauty to humanity. And so, as I said, we are structuring that thousands, hundreds of spin-offs comes from the knowledge seekers with their technology, and we keep on requesting from you. Let us see what you have. You don't need to be a knowledge seeker. If you know elite scientists, we are there to serve. And I'm proud to announce the first structure, the first case, the first move for a spin-off, international spin-off, the Keshe Foundation is taking shape. In a way, it's not Chinese, it's the work of the international structure. Knowledge seekers who come, they see they can mix it with their knowledge and technology and go back to their nations to benefit their nations on the banner of the Keshe Foundation. Soon you will see the videos of this work. The first spin-off of the Keshe Foundation, as I said, even the worker in what we call in our system comes up with a way, technique, new technology that can help. We give them the right to be part of, to be the shareholders in their own new adventure. We finance it, we support it, and we develop it with them. For those of you who are on the plane back to the Space Center, and those of you who flew out to get your things sorted out to come back in, I wish you both a safe journey with you and your families on the whole. The structure of the Keshe Foundation belongs to all of you, and not just the man who knows or the woman who knows about the knowledge. Once you commit yourself to us, we look after the whole family, as we are doing, and it's part of our work to do. If there are any questions, try to answer them. If not, we have a very quick, short session today.
Well, there's always questions, Mr. Keshe. So we can start with Azar here has a hand up, and I always like to acknowledge the hands up first. So please go ahead, Azar.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning, Azar John. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you, Mr. Keshe? Mr. Keshe, I have two questions. One, when you talk about sperm and egg, and then how the two gravitate toward each other. Nowadays, we know there is a fertility clinic that is very popular. I saw it that is very popular even in Iran. So how those babies, because there is a third party involved. So how that gravity decided in that term?
Everything, once the soul choose each other, or set to be together, set to be, the rest is dimension of physicality. Surrogate mother, growing up in a test tube is irrelevant.
Okay.
This, as we a lot of know now, is what is very interesting, which is coming up, which is not in public as such, is international surrogacy and international, what we call test tube babies. The woman from East Asia decides that I want to have an American-looking child or a North European-looking child, and they import the egg to the country, or they take the egg and the sperm from two different nations to a third nation to have the child. This process is taking place now. We are seeing not just because my husband and I couldn't, or I want the husband, well, I don't want to be, I mean, I want a child, I don't want a husband. Now is becoming a very, very complicated. You want to have a mixed child, you're quite welcome. You never need to travel your country outside or look around for. You can you can order the North European looking child to be. So now you can imagine how the souls work in the background to fix that one. And then the two cannot be there, so they pay somebody in Africa to surrogate. It's becoming Chinese takeaway in England. You know, in England, you go to a Chinese takeaway, it gives you a base of a pizza, gives you the Indian curry sauce taste, and you can have a Chinese topping. And this is what is becoming the life of the man, reproduction of his soul. But don't worry, very soon we'll graduate from this, and we want a child which have a soul from planet Zeus can be imported, the soul import, because planet Zeus does not export eggs. That becomes more complicated. I was talking to somebody in the world of the what we call diplomacy. I said, you know, something is going very bad. You keep on talking about the aliens, and now we're speaking about creating man into space and creating children of the man with the others. Do they need a passport? They don't carry any physicality, or are there going to be new rules and regulations for children which are half a space child? Work that out for your leaders who are fighting for nothing. Can you imagine? Yeah.
But I guess in terms of when you talk about the soul, and then every cell has a soul too. Is the strength of the soul of the cell is as strong as the soul itself? Because
you break a magnet, that's the strength of pieces of magnet changes.
Okay,
the strength of the strength of the soul of the man is as strong as the soul of the creator. It's the man who lets himself down.
Yeah.
Now you understand. Of course it is.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that because sometimes because it's feeling the creator and then acknowledging that we are as strong as him. Sometimes it's very overwhelming, like you cannot contain it.
Can I ask you a question? Or think about a question? The word, I refer to this a lot because it covers all aspects. If he says, I made man in the image of myself, if you see a dent on the face of you, does it not appear on the mirror?
Yeah.
So, he has to be perfect, and the soul of the man is perfect. He has no indentation and he doesn't wear cosmetics.
Yeah, but I think it happens that when you you're the image of God. I mean, get to a point. I don't know, because it just brings. I mean, sometimes feeling the creator. I don't know if it's the soul of physicality is crying, or the feeling the creator. Suddenly you can start to cry so much as if you're feeling it, and sometimes you don't know what is happening. Why am I going through this? Like, suddenly it has happened, like you suddenly, like, name of creator come to your head, like when you think about creator, it doesn't matter where you are, you just burst into so much mayhem of crying and you don't know what happened, you explode. And then and you're wondering what is the interaction happening between your soul and soul of physicality. You get into those situations. And I haven't figured it out yet.
Many people can't figure that out. I explained this once in a different way, and I try to explain, maybe you understand it. The Creator is like that beautiful, gorgeous child, immaculately dressed from top to toe. And the man is that child which goes, you're ready to go for a party, puts ketchup on the clothes, puts dirt on the shoes, and muds everything up that the mother made for the child to be perfect. The child is the soul, and the rest, how it got messed up, is the child itself. And it's the behavior of man. The Creator gives us a perfect soul, is us who puts the mud and the dirt on it.
Yeah.
Inside never changes.
Yeah.
So next time you want to do something wrong, think one thing.
Yeah.
What mud am I going to put on the Creator?
Yeah. Mr. Kesh, there was you talked in the past that we originally came from Africa, and then we start traveling, and then each part of the earth we are occupied, we change to different group of people or different shape or form, tall, short, fat, or different kind of eyes, shape, and everything. So there was a study done. If I was thinking, if we came from one parents from Africa, so DNA should be the same. But then they took a DNA of people, because they did a DNA test between Iranian people and Arab people. It's totally different DNA.
Different.
Why?
Originally, the DNA study is different on the mother's side. I'll explain to you something very strange, something you talk about. I'm sure you don't know, but I tell you, you know. As you know, during the Khamenei, 2,500 years ago, the Iranians even attacked Greeks with hundreds of thousands of sheep, with 250,000 soldiers at that time. At that time, the Iranian fleet was the same as what decades, centuries later became the British type thing. And the Iranian Khamenei traveled to Australia. They moved into Central America, and they found this path. They used to make this trip. A few ships made this trip. And people of Iran, the Iranians, are actually in a part of Central America where they carry with the same tradition as us. They look like Aztecs. They don't look like what we call South Americans. They have the features of the Iranian, especially the women, and they have more structures the same as Persepolis. And the strangest thing is that they celebrate 21st of March as their new year. 2,500 years ago, they traveled. And then we say Christopher Columbus found what you call America. We have traveled this planet and we have mixed very well. But the origin all comes through 2 or 3 spots in Central East Africa. And these, they mixed, and even in the historical biological, we know there were the last two were two tribes, one conquered the other one accordingly, and the rest of it. But the pattern of life, the condition of life was available, was created, that the chemistry of the life could take shape in the warm waters, constant temperatures and everything, millions of years for the cells to come together to create life. Man was not the only creature which was born in Africa. Life could take hold in that pressure place. And then you had the same in South America. There's a tribe, there's a race. So they got mixed up. But the original molecules which set to become the amino acid of life scientifically comes from Africa. Even in Africa, before the African moved into Asia, according to scientific data, they had over 100 different races, which this has opened our eyes that there were 100 different creatures were born under the condition. Condition was fertile and life took place. Then what we have up to now, there's more research going extensively, is out of this 100 mixture, whatever they fought, they mixed whatever, 15 of them as a mixture have crossed into Europe and Asia. What we see scientifically is that the ones who traveled on the east coast of Africa through the Strait of Hormuz were the more predominant one, which we trace back to most of the races in what we call Central America, South America. We trace back to China and the rest of it. There is something which we know, and that is, I explained this before, there is a river which creates on the top of Nile into the Central Africa. It comes from Central Congo and down that way. And this river appears every 200-300 years. The belief is one tribe or one group of this mixture traveled that side and settled by Nile and became Egypt. The other traveled by the east coast, which went up. We have tracks of record that partially, knowing, becoming fishers, some traveled into South America and some traveled into Australia and the Pacific. But at the same time, these places had what we call the conditions to generate life. So there's a mixture of life between these two. We have a full data on this Iranian tribe 2,500 years ago. The culture celebrates all what used to be mitras in South America. That in the region of Paraguay, Peru on that side, they are well documented. You can go and find them. But they don't tell you how Iranian-looking women are in this part of the world where there were no Iranian, but they've been there for. They go back to the Aztec time. So they were there long before Christopher Columbus ever found America. And this is not the only one. The African did the same. The pattern of the mixture of life we should look is 3 continents: the America, South America, Brazil, and that part, Africa, and part of Australia. They had the condition for when a CO2 mixture got into the system to be produced on this planet, then life took shape. The amino acid could be produced. Creation of CO2 is one of the main factors of creating the physicality and the soul of the man. I've done a lot of research on this, and it's it is very much in depth. We are very mixed. The condition of the north at the moment, what we call hemisphere, was not there to create life. Maybe it created life, but due to the turn of the planet, could not support it, or has supported a new type of life, which we see from Northern Europeans as they mutated. We are a very complex race. It's not just, but origin, what is left is indicates we all come from maximum mixture of 15 races of Africa. And their DNA is very much mixed. In Africa, we have scientific data, there are 100 different DNAs at the moment plus. But when it's traced into the Europeans, the Chinese, and the North Americans, we see 15 of these DNAs predominantly, dominate. But we have to see. The eyes are opening up to the fact in a different way. We see a race of man in north of Russia, created in cold. But then there's a structure. They tell us the history of the man goes back to 10 years. In northern China, pipeline has been discovered exactly the way we have it, going back over 12,500 years. They produced pipes, they buried on the ground and traveled. They took water from one side of China to another. These are scientific data we can, and what they said man was 5,000, 6,000 years ago and Perseus, this is all rubbish. Man has gone through the cycle of maturity many, many times.
Thank you, Mr. Cash. Funny you said Peru and then Central America. One time I was in Ollantaytambo, and then the gentleman asked me if I'm from Andes in the mountain in Peru. So probably they look like them. So
The Hachamanishians, they still carry out the traditions of our ancestors. Actually, they kept more than the Afghans and the Pashtuns and the Farsis kept. They have some deep-rooted of Mitra's tradition with them.
thank you, Mr. Cash.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Yes. Again, I remind our attendees you can do like Azar did and raise your virtual hand if you would like to ask a question. In our Q&A here in the Zoom,
I want to tell you something very interesting came up. For you to understand as knowledge seekers how much game played in the background while you're listening. This teaching is international. Tens of thousands of people listen to it. And when you look at the YouTube numbers, it's a few hundred. Logarithmically, they're destroying that. The figures does not show hundreds of thousands of people listen to the teaching. This was set up years ago by the Belgians and the European community to stifle the Keshe Foundation. But the funniest thing is, we teach in such a structure, and we have the Chinese, the Iranians, the Africans, and everybody else, the Europeans, and it shows 100, 200, 1,000. And the Brazilians, which is a small division of the Keshe Foundation, on their weeklies, over thousands of people attending. Now you can see how knowledge is restricted. The whole world is less than 1,000. A small nation in their weekly teaching gets over 1,000, 2,000, and the rest. So you have to understand knowledge is well spread. It's just those who play games of politics have to keep their face. And it'll be very interesting to what we always said. The actual figures of the Keshe Foundation is hundreds of thousands, millions of people listen overall. But logarithmically, as Mr. so-and-so increased his numbers, that every time he speaks one word, millions listen because he owns the company. The same way logarithmic Keshe Foundation listeners have been downloaded, that it doesn't show its expansion. Enjoy your time. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. We do have a hand up here, and before we get to that, let's address one question. You mentioned the Brazilian folks. We have a question from Nadir from the Brazilian community through Cristiano. Says, lately it's been hard to find non-GMO food. Almost everything contains genetically modified ingredients. What can we do to avoid the consequences of eating these foods?
Not much you can do. We are growing seeds. I'm going around, as I said before, original seeds. And in our agricultural side, we'll grow these very rapidly and we'll see what we can do. We need these non-GMO seeds, original seeds, because once we produce these seeds in the plasmatic strings for the apps, they have to be pure. This is we are not doing it for any other purpose, but to make sure the next generation receives not adulterated energy packages. And that's the reason for it. So at the moment, there's not much you can do. I'm going out for lunch with one of the most beautiful knowledge seekers I know, and just to get some seeds. I invite myself for a lunch to get some seeds to lunch, and then the rest of the humanity in the time to come. And this is what we do. I received a package from another knowledge seeker very recently. He actually bought it for us, and I'm carrying with me hundreds of original seeds in our laboratories, in the most advanced research centers in the world. We grow them, and we need their seeds to produce perfect energy packs once we go in the dimension of the transferring energy through the ONN systems.
And that eventually becomes the way to avoid the genetically modified ingredients. You avoid the food totally.
We are 95% in position now to start releasing the first, what do you call the ONNs. And then in that position, then we have to complete the antenna side that you don't need any international connections. Then maybe by middle of next year, we'll be in a position to transmit continuous energy on apps. And how it can be done, that you can access to it. What will be interesting is once we locate this, what we call 10,000 units across this planet, and we know how to attach it to your physical energy side, would any of you start buying food? Would any of you feel hungry? Because this will cover the span of this planet. Would a child go hungry ever? Because we can transmit. We did that last Friday test. We transmitted in the bandwidth that hits the heartbeat of the man. Those of you who attended the addiction know exactly what I'm talking about. So if we transmit the energy of the apple with the spectrum of the light of the heartbeat of the man, then would any of you start eating? Would the supermarkets have a lot of rotten foods? This is what I'm looking forward to. That no man or child goes hungry, does not matter where you are. The first 22 units, which is hopefully it gets loaded this coming week or two, will go to every corner of this planet. Will not all go in one place. From North America to South America to Africa, to China, to Australia, Iran, and the rest of it. No nation will hack because it knows the rest of humanity will suffer. And we are on that course. I need to raise funds for another 8,000 units. And somewhere we find the funds for it. And when we feed the man, man should not kill. Man should not do anything. When a mother gives birth to a child in Africa, she doesn't have to worry about hunger because we take the responsibility to do so. Somebody in a village near you has a one hand in his hand in his house, which does not need no energy and does not need no internet, but is connected to what we call food web world, and it feeds everything, everyone's souls and physicality. It's not a dream. When I see the developments in different research centers of the Keshe Foundation, I used to think maybe we are 20% there, but in the past few weeks, I think we are 80% there. And we are just about ready to go. Maybe in a year time, we'll feed the world without a single man ever going hungry. Sometimes when I sit with my children and they were young, and they come and say, Papa, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, I'm hungry, can I have something to eat? You spare my heart. How many other children this time around the world tell their parents I'm hungry, they cannot feed them? Go to sleep, tomorrow morning we'll have something. In my time, no child will go to sleep hungry. I feed them. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. Well, we now have two hands up. We'll start with the first one, Bliss Love. And please go ahead. If you can say who you are and where you're from, that'd be great as well.
Thank you, Rick. It's Micah here. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Thanks. Go ahead, Mike.
Greetings, Mr. Cash, Rick, Universal Council, and knowledge seekers throughout the Unicos. Mr. Cash, I just wondered if you could comment on what's happening in the background on the geopolitical situation. Is the war going to be finished, or is it still ongoing? I don't really pay attention to any of the social or other media, so I always appreciate your commentary on the subject. Thank you very much.
Maybe I'm the wrong person.
Okay.
Ask these questions in detail. But you have to understand, we are closely tied up to Chinese. We are closely tied up to Iran. And on the other hand, we operate through the United States. We sit in Europe and we watch the scene. The reality is that the American public has been told a lot of lies. And as I just mentioned, the hundreds of thousands of people listen to the teaching, and the great McCree, they make sure people don't see such a popularity, is the same as they are doing with their broadcast. The President of the United States claimed that they've destroyed all the uranium forces and everything else, and we know they haven't even touched 10% of it because Iran, 90% of missiles, intercontinental missiles now, are usable. And that's the biggest fear America has, if they unleash it. So 95% of what we hear from the United States is nothing but lies and propaganda. We know this now, everybody is agreed on it. We are dealing with a mental case. On the other hand, we see today American presidents in China, and you got to understand the border politics, as I explained many times before, even when you see them standing. Today's arrival of President Trump to China was the lowest way they could insult him. In a way, he was treated like a piece of whatever you know. President Xi did not attend his landing. He's met by very much in a different way, which is not traditionally the way President Xi greets high-level close friends. So you think you're big, you're treated as second-class citizens if you're president. So, and the rules of the engagement is the weak always goes to meet the strong. This is the international law. Chinese president did not go since he was elected. He is going there to see his boss. These are a lot of factors which you have to watch. Iran will not, under no circumstances, will give up his nuclear weapon, what they call nuclear material, to the United States, because a deal has been made between Trump and Netanyahu that he'll get the percentage of the nuclear fuel from Iran. That's their payment. And then he dragged it, you see, we got the nuclear material out of Iran and it's ours. Iran will give it to China, Iran will give it to Russia, but not United States. They can bark and shut as much as they like. The only problem which has risen, which is critical, is that if the America breaks the war, Iran will literally sever all the communication cables under the sea in Persian Gulf, which controls a chunk of the world finance goes through it. There'll be no cash in ATMs in majority of the countries. SWIFT will go to the wall, has no value, and the Chinese love the Iranians to cut this line off. It'll be the end of SWIFT, because nobody can use the SWIFT, no banking can be confirmed. Chinese system will take over. This is the biggest fear at the moment in the hand of the Americans. What they did, cutting SWIFT, Iran cuts this on there's a massive amount of cable goes from Saudi, Dubai, Iran, Iraq. Part of the European intercontinental lines goes through this. If they blow these lines up, that we back by at least 5 years, SWIFT has no control and somebody has to replace it. This is the biggest fear at the moment. Not what happens, how much oil it's going through. If we look at other side, Iran is well equipped to last at least 5 years of war, even at the scale of 30 days, because Americans don't have many weapons left. They cannot produce that many. They depleted all their weapons, and if they deplete any more, Taiwan will go overnight. There's a deal on the table today between the Americans and the Chinese. How are they going to hand over Taiwan? And Americans are begging that the Chinese will guarantee to them that the chips from Taiwan will be continued. This is a begging plate Trump is in China with. Make sure Taiwan, if they take over, the chips are there, because if your chips from Taiwan are not there, in America, you'll be eating out of pots and pans with a fireplace as a wood. This meeting set up is the biggest, what we call, begging pot of the Americans to the Chinese. They stopped the rare earth material. They can't produce weapons anymore. All these weapons we saw being used or in the stockpile cannot be reproduced because the rare earth material, if it doesn't exist, is not there. And the Americans realized they have to beg for the Taiwan. It's not if China is going to take Taiwan. Let me explain to you. We are very close, extremely close to the Chinese administration. one day I'll show you the pictures who we deal with. The plan was by 2027, 28, Taiwan will be handed over to China on the agreements that everything's there. What they call Hong Kong, Taiwan type of program, which under this agreement, the Chinese guarantee the follow-up chips to the West at a certain percentage for a certain period of time. To build the microchip producing factories cost billions, and nobody has that money in the West to do it. So Taiwan is the oil of microchip. And what Trump comes out of this meeting is how much he can beg and how much he can borrow than what he can give. And the rest of it sits in a very crucial way how the Canadians will deal with the Americans. America is really screwed up by the Canadians. If you're not a Canadian or if you're outside, you do not know how the Canadians have got them President Trump by short and careless. Massive problems for them there. Chinese are on the other side, and what you call the Ukraine war has drained everything from Germany and Europe. A lot of Italians don't even go to work because they want to show we cannot accept the way the government works. By work withdrawal, they say you generate your taxes, we are not paying for it. And we see this right across Western Europe. So there is no money left to start the war. On the other hand, you have to understand, you have the British monarchy, but you are of the late generation. British monarchy is a German monarchy, and they are hidden in the background with the Rothschilds, which are the, German. The British monarchy changed the German name just around the First World War, not to be connected to the Germans, but their German blood. There is not a single drop of English blood in the what we call British monarchy. So you have to see how they're supporting the German government to stay in power through Rothschilds and themselves. The British royal family name is the name of the house they lived in because the name was too German in the previous war. Not to be kicked out, but in fact they only operate through Berlin. So then you can see a lot of money has gone out to the war in Ukraine, and a lot of money has gone to other places and is not coming back. British monarchy and Rothschilds are running short. Then you have to see, you look at the overall international, they might use another war, but America cannot sustain another 30 days. Within 15 days, they'll have nothing. Trump tried to get hold of the nuclear code. They won't give it to him. He changed the head of the military. They won't give it to him. Israelis don't have access to nuclear bombs because in the first days of war, Iran destroyed all the American planes which are adopted to carry nuclear warheads. So they're relying on the British, Americans to do it for them. Americans doesn't have the thing to do so. Israelis now have turned up bringing soldiers into UAE, trying to attack Iran ground level when Iran is fully aware of it. They welcome it. Like the other 172, they'll go back in coffins or in prisons. So we see a big moves in the geopolitically. The war could happen, but this time it'll be the end of the SWIFT. It'll be the end of American domination, and the only winner is China. And what they claimed that they destroyed, there's nobody else left. There's a very big question mark. I'll put it to you. We'll have to see it later on. Nobody has seen Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran since the first day. Rumors have it he's in Moscow. Now we have to see if it is true. The name of his son is used as a cover. But we'll see and how it will take shape. Then we have to see how things are played, how the game is played. The Americans are negotiating with not the Pahlavi family, they're negotiating with Qajars to bring them back in as the new monarchy they appoint, and the Chinese don't accept it. And what we call the crown prince of the, what you call the previous Iranian monarchy, attended in Munich and Berlin meetings, and he's appointed by the British and the Americans to become the next king of Iran when they get rid of the Ayatollahs, and that is in the wall at the moment. So what they used to choose the world leaders has gone to the pot, and it's not going to happen. And Iran is exporting huge amount of oil daily using international laws. There's a law, if you American can block the Indian Ocean, but every day tons of ships go out of the Strait of Hormuz without Americans having a say in it, because they stick to the international guaranteed water rights, which allows them to stick to the shores of Iran, Pakistan, and deliver oil to India and China. What you hear that they blocked everything, Iran is suffering, is the same as the other lies you heard from the American administration. And Indians and the rest pay the charges in yuan or real to Iran. Actually, Iran is making more money before the war openly directly into Iran national reserves. They can stop the ships sailing out of the Strait of Hormuz into Indian Ocean, but there's a maritime law. There's a couple of kilometers that you cannot touch, because if you enter it, it's like entering a border and you start a war. Americans don't dare to go in the Indian and the Pakistani side because they bring the nuclear weapons out, and Iranians are exporting tons and tons of oil. Only ships, oil is getting through. Very, very few commodities. Very few. Iran petroleum is still going through the same channel. They stick to the shores, and by law, it's the border of the nation. Your border doesn't sit on the shore. Your border sits a couple of kilometers offshore, and all the ships stick to this line. And Iran, last week, 23 tankers went to India, and everything else. So this will be very interesting to see how Americans come back humiliated, what I call begging pot. The only reason for this meeting, it was different before when it started, but now is Trump is begging for China not to stop, and when they take over Taiwan, let them have some chips, because their fish is run out. And more or less we got to wait and see. Iran will annihilate. There won't be a state called Bahrain. Bahrain, you have to understand, we had a very incompetent king, the Shah and his father. Extremely incompetent. During the Shah, we gave part of our nation away for no reason we never understood. A lucrative part, a beautiful city north of Iran was given to Russians. A big district on the east of Iran was given to Afghans nobody understood. Bahrain was part of Iran, suddenly became an independent nation. Nobody asked for it. And then we have the same in Shat al-Arab. The Shah decided to give the rights to the Iraqis, which was Iran. And during the past 40 years of the present regime, We have not given a single centimeter out. Stayed loyal to Iran. So this has brought a lot of things. What you hear outside is not what inside. Hardship because of the SWIFT, yes, but don't forget in 1970, Iran was 32 million population. Now is about 90 million population. It's tripled in 40 years. Nobody knows how, but they've been very active. They locked them. They can't go anywhere. They made children inside. And you don't see hungry children on the street. You don't see, we see a lot of Afghans begging on the streets in Iran. We don't see Iranians begging. We feed our nation. We look after our nation. So whatever you hear outside is not there. And secondly, with the new One Belt, One Road trains, Iran exporting most of its oil through land to China doesn't need the waterways. And delivery at the moment is 11 to 14 days from China to Iran. And the rail track is busy. So what you hear in the news, what we see from our side is a nation claiming very British state. We say fair courts and no knickers. This is the position of the Americans at the moment. And if they go to another 30-day of war, unless they use a nuclear warhead, America will have nothing to defend itself. Mexicans can just walk and conquer half of their Texas back again because they have nothing to defend on. America has lost over 15,000 dead soldiers. The data will come out. Estimate is 35, but 15,000 coffins are confirmed. 16 air bases most advanced with all Americans, no foreigners were allowed in, are wiped out. Nobody killed. What happened? They're angels. They go back home and they come back when the bomb is gone. All the radar system by the most trained officers have gone. They don't even have officers who they trained 10 or 15 years, gone. The American losses is in tens of thousands and in hundreds of billions. So 15 more day of war with Iran, you'll run out of ammunition. But it'll be annihilation of most probably the whole of Western Palestine. One of the reasons Iran doesn't destroy the whole of Israel is that it says it's the land of Palestine. If we destroy it, they need to come back and live in it. Israel now is less than 2.4 million Israelis left out of 5 million. And these are the soldiers kept by pressure and the beggars cannot afford. You go to Cyprus will come second Israel. You go to California, Florida, all going. Most of the nations have banned Israeli passports to come in. European nations, Italians have done that. In Japan, no Israelis are allowed in because they come in and then they ask for refugee and they don't want them there to create next cycle of problems. South American countries have banned them. Asian countries are banning them. So a lot of I was talking to a diplomat, says if you go to supermarkets in Tel Aviv and you go to ones in Dubai, they're all the same. Nobody in it, hardly anybody in. The reality is different than what is there. But war starts, America won't last more than 15 days, but the losses will be heavy. There's one consideration that Dubai and the United Arab Emirates will become part of Saudi Arabia. Quite possible. UAE will not exist. That's 90% knockout. And Bahrain will go back to Iran. And there's a lot of other things with it. Don't forget Iran has parked all their air forces, which none left. All the Iranian fighters are parked in Afghanistan and in Pakistan on the border. Americans don't dare to touch. So we destroyed all the air force. They said they destroyed the Tehran Central Airport. Now it's working as 100 times more than 70 days ago. You hear a lot of propaganda, but Americans have achieved nothing except 30,000 deaths. Don't forget, when they give the bodies back or they bring people back to America, they tell the parents if they talk, there'll be this and that. But you ask how many bodies can come back. There's a report that there's more carriers are carrying bodies back to America than actually bringing things in under cover of the delivering arms. They're taking bodies back. In one court, America has lost more in 30 days than they lost in all of Vietnam. You watch when the figures comes out. But Vietnam War was all illiterates. They got it off the grounds and put the uniform on them. This time, all the experts, radar, communication, pilots, all gone. All gone. Intangible assets, trillions. Takes years to train scientists. Israel is the same. 1,400 nuclear physicists, scientists are gone. Iran built 500 below. Israelis, they thought they were very clever, were 20. We'll see. Look at the real figures and then we'll see when it comes. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
You're welcome.
Yes, we have another hand up here with KFSSI host IT. I'm not quite sure who that is yet. So
Chinese should be. Carry on. Yes. Hello.
could you go ahead, KFSSI host IT? It might be. I thought it might be Stefania or something, but she's on the other line. Okay, they're not speaking, so okay. Let's go on to a question in the Q&A from Daisy from the Brazilian community. How does plasma technology work in dentistry? How can it be used for tooth regeneration?
And that the Japanese have done. We've done a lot of work on this tooth. You know, Azar is a dentist and my sister is a dentist. I've been hammered for years what we do. There's a lot of things we tested, we do. It connects to the soul and how it's done. We've shown a little bit of progress in the young girl during the corona. But generally, it should be able to be done. But at the moment, we don't have our balls on that, our eyes on that ball at the moment. But in a way, you can regenerate tooth. And genetically now, the Japanese are very successful in the past year or so. But plasmatically, you can create a condition of it doing it. It can be done. You have to regenerate, reactivate the nervous system, which GANS technology is the best for it. We hopefully will access to some medical hospitals very soon, which a lot of these things can be done. We will operate out of hidden southern coast, what they call island of where we came to Sanya, in the hospitals in there very soon. Keshe Foundation will operate in these hospitals, especially designed for new technologies to become part of the Chinese operation. We are establishing heavily in that area that we will do tests in hospitals there with different part of the Keshe Foundation technology as part of our operation in China. It's on the card, it's just needs a few more months and we're in it. And then there's a lot of things to test. but it'll be on the banner. It's all licensed. It's a very beautiful way the Chinese have set this island up. In this island, there are clinics that you can test any new medicine in any new way. And Keshe Foundation, being actually a Chinese company, has I've started up. We're actually talking and working with one of the owners, the hospitals. He's a partner in one of the leading hospitals. And what do you call it? We are working on it very clearly. Dentistry, cancer, the eradication of the Alzheimer's through simple technologies is on the card, it's getting done. It's strange how things come. This guy just happened to be my neighbor. We start talking and he said, all my facilities, I can give you everything in my hospitals. He just lives a few doors away from me when I'm in Beijing. So we'll see. God brings things together. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I'm Filippo from Italy. I have a question. How the cosmic ray balls can influence seeds? If I take some seeds and I let these seeds rest close the cosmic ray balls, how this
Hi, tell us. Something we haven't done.
Yeah, I'm doing this, but I just wanna know if did you know anything more, or did you have already?
We work in our agricultural research center. It's actually ongoing today. It was getting done yesterday. You're working on a new dimension, which is parts that cover cosmic ray technology. We'll have a data within a week. The team who's finishing their job is getting done, and it's very fundamental to see how the growth and how the other thing changes. And that is not the cosmic ray material, but it's creation of, it's the first time directly we involved in this kind of research. There's a reason for it, and actually on our production and agriculture, I think even today are busy with it or being busy with it. Then we tell you how it affects and what it is. We are creating a condition very much is a pre-test to the space technology, growing things in the space. But we are doing it in what you call it ground level, and it's a first. And then we see how cosmic rays, how the environment we create, we do, will affect us and how it will change. There are a lot of knowledge that you have to understand deep before you get involved in these things. And one of them is when I explain to you, when you eat the food, the minute it enters your mouth, is not a matter state anymore, it's in the environment of the field of the body. It becomes a cancer state. Now we're treating this in that position. It's a very important when you do this, do it holistically, cover all aspects. And now we're creating the same as the podium, where we are creating a cosmic ray inside another cosmic ray over another cosmic ray, and we testing this actually teaches a lot about our defense technology. At the same time, we look at the agriculture part. In a way, we make a tent of a tent of a tent, which we control all the 3 tents. And cosmic ray is part of that test which is going. I have a good news for you, because as you know, with our research into space city is getting shape and developing in a beautiful way. We have come now after more or less 4 or 5 months of operation that we are discovering more and more things actually just in 2 or 3 fields and new things. And I have asked the head of the Keshe Foundation to reopen the Plasma Times, which we stopped with Corona. In the next few weeks, you will see the Plasma Time to be published again, only by the research development of the space city. We become the publication of, as Plasma Time is a scientific journal registered, and it's the number for it. Try to get hold of the new Plasma Time. It'll be coming in the next 2 or 3 months, because the data coming up from research centers and other things is so in depth that only we who are in can publish it. So people like Raphael, people like who collecting information and data, will ask you very soon to come back in, and people who helped us with setting up the pictures and the things of the, what you call Plasma Time, will become only to publish the data and the research of the Keshe Foundation very soon. I asked the head of the Keshe Foundation to see to this as soon as possible, because the data coming from our research centers is amazing. Not all success, failures, but it allows you other people think. And so one of the benefits of it is this, what you call, sharing the knowledge, especially on the agriculture. We're very happy till the other aspects of the space and everything else is completed. So your Plasma Times, totally bound to research, will appear in a short time, hopefully, because there's so much data we need to share with the rest of humanity.
That's great news, Mr. Keshe. In fact, I was just pondering that in the last days and week or two, and how lovely the articles are in the Plasma Times. In review, they were quite technical and very well put together, lovely pictures and images and so on. And it's a very nice publication, so happy.
Yeah, we have the French knowledge seekers who tries to push his journal through because he gets financial benefit from it. We'll ask them to stop once we come into operation. He's been helping, he's done a lot of beautiful jobs, but the publication for Keshe Foundation will come from center from now on. And we have a lot of things. I was puzzled how the team has taken shape in the space city, I'll call it. It's growing up with a core of people who are actually doing things, the most amazing things. As we are setting up a new space, and I was yesterday in position, they are deciding even the screws which is going to be used in labs to be homogeneous right across all the labs in the future. Everything ISO standard. At this stage, they are planning everything to the screw. That when you go in any labs of the Space Center, going from one lab to another, there is no difference. And it's amazing what is getting done. And I thank the whole team behind it. It's an international cooperation, and it's amazing what is developing, what is becoming. And it takes a lot of time and effort. People are working round the clock, getting this done. And hopefully, very soon we'll take you across this beautiful research center, what we call the space city, is getting shape. And it's thanks to a lot of Chinese supporters. A lot of work is done by the CEO of the Keshe Foundation in China, and our other CEOs and attached teams too, and the way they're taking shape. Step by step, no rush, very slow. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. We had a question in YouTube from Tender. You had mentioned earlier about children, the hybrid children in particular, and her question is, how were these hybrid children fabricated? Through man-made manipulatory intervention or spontaneous combustion, or through possible natural direct physicalities match?
What are you talking about? I'm lost.
I think she's talking about the children of Mithra that you speak of, that are made in a different way than through the physicality way that
You see,
creates.
When you create a child of Mithra as a human, you will know the difference between a human child, and a child of Mithra. You know it yourself. And if both are not in the same way, both partners, you cannot create it. It's a process that, first of all, when you create children of Mithra, in the dimension of physicality of the man, you still have the interaction of the physicality, but you have no egg and sperm. That comes from the soul. In the future, it will be proven and it will be shown by the world of science. The way now you can monitor how egg and sperm is transmitted and how the child is conceived, you will not be able to create a test tube children of Mithra impossibilities. Somewhere, somebody has to create a dimension of the environment for it to grow. And secondly, it is the soul of energy of the soul which leads to the creation of the soul of the child, that then the environment created the size, the physicality of the child. And those of you who create the first children of Mithra, you know exactly what I mean. You will feel it, you know it.
Mr. Kesh, is this what the term virgin birth is?
Yes.
Is that the same?
Yeah, more or less. More or less. It comes not the physical virginity, we call it from the virgin soul, untouched, pure. And as I said, you can be 100 years old and still give birth. First of all, you have to create the condition of the environment of the birth to match the soul. And no knowledge in the universe has reached that position. The what I call the womb of the universe is unique and cannot be replicated. Cannot be replicated. It's such a spectrum. So, children of Mithra, when humans create the children of Mithra, they both know. It has a process. In the future, I explain the process. And then it has understanding. The woman would not go through ovulation. You don't produce any eggs for weeks and months before. Man will have no sperm, that the physicality doesn't get involved in it. You'll know it. And then has to be the connection of the souls. Then both souls have to agree the position of the womb. To you is fairy tale, but some of you will start experiencing. The more you become mature in the understanding of transmutation, the closer you come to it, you understand it. Doesn't count on age, doesn't count on position or position. And you will see the children of Mitra, they are like sun in anywhere they walk in. Their love, their joy is untouchable. But it has a lot of conditions to reach that point. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. We have an interesting one from YouTube. Just get it lined up here. From, it could be Pizan. Good morning, I'm from Poland. Last week I had an interesting experience. I built a plasma windmill with GANs and started it outdoors. I pointed it at the sky at an angle of approximately 45 degrees. After some time, balls of light began to appear in the sky. I saw 4 in total, and one of them turned metallic and slowly flew upwards. What are these balls and where do they come from?
I'm not there, I don't know. You do
I
this.
knew you were going to say that. That's your classic answer for that.
When you're
conundrum.
not there, you can explain or you can just make up. We're not in that making up things. But it's amazing. It's a very interesting experiment. But try it again and let us know. It's a very interesting experiment. I tell you, we'll have hundreds of knowledge seekers making plasma windmills now. It's fashionable. Somebody's done it. We know scientifically, you have to understand the atmosphere is moisture. And scientifically, we know this is a puzzle in the world of physics, has been. I explained it somewhere. It's not a puzzle, but it's still, in 95% of the world of physics, it's a puzzle. If you have a bubble, air bubble, in the water, any water, and if you allow the bubble to come to the surface and it goes plop plop, you hear the noise. But if you blow this bubble in the water, it creates light. I explained that to a world of scientific world very recently. Because even if the water is a condition of its own magnetic position, and the air inside is different. And when you collapse that air inside, the two energies have to balance. And the water has to absorb the energy which is inside the ball, and that creates light. And we will release a toy like this very soon, in the next few months, that children can watch, and the light just comes up in the bottle. But it needs a lot of understanding, and it's not shooting. You can't shoot at it because you can't burst the bubble. In what they do, they use high laser and ultrasonic at the same time, and the bubble bursts. But always creates light, and they couldn't understand why. Then I explained this is what it is. Then you can imagine what happens in your stomach when the food gets digested. It's full of light. This is the facts with physics. You can't change it. And your atmosphere has that moisture. You most probably create bubbles, create plasma. That plasma has to manifest itself. And if it's going up, it doesn't have the what co-inertia compared to it come down. And if you get one of them come down, and if you can put a tissue paper or whatever, see What does it convert to? Any other question?
Yes, we have another hand up here with Carl. Please go ahead, Carl.
One. This is Carl from Central Victoria in Australia. Haven't called in for a while. Good to be with you.
No, you've been gathering kangaroos.
I have, and after last week's teaching, and reading Raphael's summary, which I always enjoy, he paraphrases what you taught about how when a tree is burnt, carbon remains, but when the human body is cremated, there's no carbon to be found. And I wanted to take you through an analogy with the process we use here on our farm, and it's the creation of biochar. And so it's the heating up of wood at 700, 800 degrees Celsius without oxygen in pyrolysis, and it crystallizes the wood, and then we break it down into a powder form and put it in a bathtub with a dead kangaroo. And as the kangaroo and then we fill it with water and put in a whole pile of herbs and of course some GANs. And as it breaks down over the next 6 months or so, the anaerobic processes fill into the charcoal, and under a magnifying glass, these microbes grow and breed and feed nutrients into the char. So I was always
How long
interested.
have you been doing this?
5 or 6 years.
Would you like to join us in the agricultural space city and show us?
I'd love to. Yeah. And another example of this, I think I might have mentioned before to you, is the indigenous process of cool burning, where at certain times of the year we use fire to burn the land to keep weeds at bay. And of course, where this burn goes through, the grasses, the natural grasses come back really strongly and the growth is immense. And so I'm wondering whether there's an element of nanocoding embedded in this whole process.
Yes, we have taught this before. In our agricultural side, I have asked that none of the plants or whatever is pulled out of the ground is to be discarded, all to be changed into, burned into charcoal or into ash and spread back on the ground. This is something we do. I tested this 20 years ago. And the what you call the South American tribes lived in one of the most unfertile dead soil in South America, but they noticed where they were burning wood for a heat or whatever, and they're throwing the ash out. There were things growing on it. And now when Europeans went to South America, Bolivia and the rest, we see black soil, 1/2 meter, a meter deep. This is what they burned. They actually went out, got the woods, burned, and put it on the land and became their cultivation. When you go to Africa, you see red soil. When you go to Ukraine, Moldova, and that part, you see black soil. This is why Ukraine is a bedrock of food. when you burn the grass, now becomes nanomaterial. It absorbs energy from environment. It's a natural, what you do with the fertilizer, you give energy to plants. Is the most natural way to feed. This is why when the forest get fire, you see a bigger fire, forest, more mature forests. You're doing what is scientifically, you create nanomaterial and you feed it. When we used to have wooden, what do you call it, heaters, all the ashes were collected and put in the garden. I was teaching this to a farmer very recently in North Europe. I said, don't destroy your things. You create weed and everything. Even end of the season, the stems of tomatoes or whatever, just put it back in. I've asked the research centers, do you discard roots of the lettuce or whatever? They have to be burned. They cannot be discarded. The process is getting set up for converting our waste products into actually fertilizer. It's part of our work here, and you're very correct. It does that. When you start talking about the charcoals and crystallization, I know exactly. I want you to come and teach our people what they have to do.
Mm. Well, I love the sound of Space City, and I love the sound of plasma people coming together. I need a plasma pen pal who I can speak to every now and again to keep me focused and moving forward. I'm sure there are plenty of other people who live in...
What are you talking about?
Well, we listen to your talking, but I don't have someone I feel comfortable to speak to and can joke around and laugh about some of these things as I work in my lab all by myself. It would be nice to have someone to hang out with and talk with. And we used to have this thing back when I was growing up, that you'd have a pen pal. And you'd be able to write someone. How do we have a plasma pen pal?
In agriculture?
I work as an economist, but this is my side project. Yeah.
Yeah. The Australians ones, you have Jim and some other people there, I presume you know. And agriculture you can find with Joel in France. There's Jim in Australia near you.
Yeah, there's Jim, Lisa, Antonio we hear of. Yeah, we need to hang out more. But yeah, it's just one of those things.
Do you want me to hang out chat? What do you call it for you lot? I'll open a hangout chat. Give me, after the session, I'll open one. I'll connect all of you. You can chit chat. We have no problem. The structure is there. Very soon, I think this kind of chat type things for the knowledge seekers will appear. Most probably it'll be sorted on the, what do you call it, the game which is set up, the Enlightenment Peace game. There's a lot of things happening there. We start recruiting professionals to do this job with the help of our people in Keshe Foundation. We start resourcing from outside. So the what do you call it, the process will start. This is why if you go on the Keshe Foundation, what do you call, sales side, we have opened one for teaching, that you teach yourself, or we support you to learn, but it allows us to support the, what do you call, the expansion of the one ends. There's a thing there is like a donation, but it goes for training and development of the own ends. They can participate on that side to help us to expand this. But I think the people in the background hear you. And most probably a chat will be set up in the games. And,
Okay, and usually when there's a crisis in the world, there's a cash pack that comes out or something like that. But I wonder, have you got anything coming together regarding fuel efficiency, in particular for diesel? But back on Lisa and Jimmy's teachings, the 12-part series they did years ago, there was Eric from Denmark who turned up and talked about putting some GANs on kitchen paper towels and putting iron GANs, 8 drops, CO2 drops 2 on one piece of kitchen paper towel, putting in a Ziploc bag, cable tying it to your fuel line, and then putting the inverse of 8 drops CO2, 2 drops iron GANs on another paper towel and putting that underneath the driver's seat. And for me, I saved 20% at least on my fuel bill for a good couple of years there. I think I replaced it once. But have you got some sort of, I know you're always doing things, but has that process of thinking evolved? Because it was so simple and so effective. Is there anything else like that coming through?
At the moment, we are concentrating on our research center. We realized, our directors realized we're spending a lot of money on electricity. And one of the knowledge seekers who is part of this work is actually, I think, has arrived today, that we will be developing new energy system for our use. The electricity cost is colossal in some of the research centers in Space City. And as of this week, yes, we might release some of the technology. I was with some of the knowledge seekers recently and I explained how we changed the feature of magraphs. And we're going to test it, hopefully going to be tested very soon. Magraphs which become the power supply themselves without any connection. And we will test it in the next few weeks and we'll replace it. You have to understand there is a target in Keshe Foundation. 27, 28, we enter through the research center, maybe sooner, it just depends how we bring people in to do it. The introduction of the cars without engines, without battery. This is on the card. We were trying to show this in 2011. And very soon, with what we call, you will see cars without it. It's just a shell. You can literally fly Persian carpet, as I call it. So instead of finding a saving fuel business, we are introducing a cosmic ray technology. And that's maximum 2 years. This will annihilate the present automotive industry and all the investments going into batteries and electric cars and the rest of it. That's, say 90% is on the card. You will see these vehicles. It's part of the space technology. We can't avoid it. It'll be sold in a package of 5, and I reckon it should be around about $2,000 to $2,500. It's one of the what do you call it? It's part of the space lift and motion, part of the Keshe Foundation. It's just perfect in the art. It cannot be done, or it's not physical. It's there. It goes like on AI and the emotion. Without AI, we cannot run it. It needs immediate decision making, like what you see in the self-drive cars nowadays. We need a system at least 100 times more efficient. You can stack level it, so you travel on a meter, 2 meter high, 10 meters high. I remember when I asked the Belgian authorities if they can give me, there's a stretch between Kortrijk and Ghent, it's a straight motorway. I asked the Belgian authorities to give me one Sunday afternoon free that I could test. And the excuse was there were bridges there. I just wanted to test it. It's not the knowledge, it's not the knowledge we have. Now we're in a space city building up in China. We'll be testing this. Now we have a straight lines in China. I was looking, going down one very recently. I thought, that makes good sense to make it tested here. So yes, just play with that diesel and the drops for a couple of years maximum. You won't need the engine.
Oh, sounds so good. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Cash. I really enjoy the teachings. And we need Raphael to come on. Come on. Why doesn't he come on and ask you some questions? Because when your teaching today was very advanced, and I'd love someone with advanced knowledge to be able to reiterate what you were saying and tease it out with you.
He likes his ground in Sao Paulo. He doesn't want to move. He loves where he is. He's a true Brazilian. We tried to put him into a space city. He's not moving.
But he could speak to you now, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no. He communicated with me this morning. He's an amazing guy. He'll do a lot if he makes his way to space city. Well, we got to wait. I think we're going to get him married first and then move. The wife will move with it, but we can't move him on his own. But we'll see what happens. The beauty with the Space Center is managed, run by a young Keshe Foundation team. The new generation is taken over, and it's beautiful to see them growing. I enjoy seeing them battle. And it's beautiful the way they keep the ethos, and they work on that. It's amazing how it's difficult for the people who are not knowledge seekers gradually to turn and believe in what they do is correct. I've handed what we call the running of the ship to this young generation, and they need to be there, and I hope when the time comes they do the same pass to the next generation. Any other question? Try to, if you like to show our team how you do it, and if we see in your charcoal business what you do and what it does, we are very interested. If he uses the gas technology, and I'm sure our team will invite you. They pay for your tickets and everything to go and have a couple of weeks of fun and teach. And let me know send me a detail of it. I'll send it to them to study it, and if something we can add to, join them for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then we can go back. And if there is any commercial earning from it or commercial benefit from it, we set a spin-off for you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We learned from we brought the non-knowledge seekers who became a knowledge seekers, and he brought a vast knowledge in agriculture for us. He's an expert in Iran. We brought him. He stayed with us for 2 or 3 months. He taught us a lot. He took the technology back, and he used our technology with the technology they have, and it's resulting in amazing things for us. We're learning a lot, and we added to the knowledge. And it's very strange. The people who come in touch with technology, even as an outsider, after seeing it, and see what they can do in mixture of their technology, it just changes them. Beauty is that they carry the ethos of the foundation. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. We have a question, a Q&A here from a Chinese name, which I can't figure out. How can those, it's about the game, Enlightenment game, how can those first generation players whose accounts have been banned participate in the game to discover vulnerabilities? How do you identify spies to stop them from creating more vulnerabilities and slowing down our progress?
It's the job of the people setting the game up. That's their job. They're aware of the shortcomings and they're aware of what happens. And I think what I call the AI part of this needs to be part of it. We have to develop an AI which actually monitors the AI and all the other things on it. It's amazing. I was in Chinese, one of the AI centers a couple of years ago. It's amazing how they invested in this thing. A city for 100,000 of people just working on AI. And now they moved into cosmic ray AIs in the past 2 or 3 weeks using our technology and the words we use. And the binary 0-1 is totally gone out of the game. We have to teach them how to control it because there's a control mechanism, how you control it. And most probably in the new research center will come with that very soon. We need a lot of support from knowledge, especially on purchasing this O&N to allow us to spread the technology to even the people who don't know. And this is a crucial point for us in the next 12 months to be able to do it. Keshe Foundation has to do it itself, through itself, that we don't get controlled. And the rest will come with it. It's not easy. Even creating the AI here is causing problem for our team. Their own AI works against their own work, and they have to redo the new AI. But it's part of the policing AI with the AI police. It'll be very interesting.
That seems to be the challenge, is to have an AI babysit the AI that you originally set up to do the work.
That's what it is.
But on top of that, to babysit that one, so they each watching each other.
The interesting thing is the Chinese have built the biggest train terminal in the world. It's opened up in the past few weeks, or it's just about to become. Unknown to public, a lot of the work was done with the robots connected to each other with AI. They closed the city. Nobody could see when they're building this huge, what do you call it, the station. It's the largest ever. You can put, God knows, so many of the central stations and biggest stations in the world into it. It's mind-boggling what they built. They destroyed the mountain, flatten it, and they built a station on top of it. And most of it is made by robots. And the robots, not only individually controlled, but collectively controlled to do the same thing. And their power and their precise work has been amazing. More and more information is coming out how they build this thing, partially with robot help. But what they say, the next generation of train stations or whatever will be built, learn from this or construction, will use 10% human workers and 90% robots. Now imagine how many more unemployment will come up and how many people have no jobs. But we have to feed them. Nations cannot keep on feeding and looking after people, and it'll come to alternative source. Feed through the soul is the alternative, the only way. The more and more we advance, the more people will have no jobs for. Even now, the Chinese are looking at armies without humans. Now you can imagine what's the next step is. You don't have an army, so what happens to the soldiers? You don't have factory workers. Dark, what we call factories now, is a norm. It's a common thing in China. They're producing thousands of cars a day without a single man, all done by robots. So, but we still keep on producing humans. Would the robots decide we can't feed so many humans who needs to be eliminated, or we bring the alternative, we feed as many humans as we like through the new technology. It is possible. There is a possibility that we can use an atmosphere over Earth atmosphere, which means in this atmosphere we deliver the shortcomings of the Earth cannot do, like the food, energy, health. The air you breathe in the field of the plasma enters this. This is not a dream. I hope the machine will be able to be built in the next 6 months, which then, in a way, even the cat, the dog, or the tree will benefit by it. Then there's no need for next generation of murderers like Netanyahu. Any nation has a nuclear, it's my enemy, going from one country to another, will die because everybody's fed, everybody's happy. They all get a cash coin and they all use the system to feed themselves. And this making a second layer of fields, I think about a few years is in the reach of man. We don't need to use, what do you call it, mobile phone, or what they call apps, through ONNs. We create that cluster of energy. Hold on to, continuously fed, everybody gets what they need, what they, energy-wise, there's no hunger, there's no medicine. And this all connects to one end. It has to be done, because then we can transmit through the center to it. And it's like cryptocurrency, nobody can destroy it because they can take 10 units out, there's other thousands there, because we don't look at the present coverage of 10,000 or then covering 1 million or 1 billion. We work on this next step, which is a cosmic ray transmission, which the 10,000 will cover the whole humanity to feed the fish, the rest, because it creates that condition. Any other question? I will call it a day.
Someone's saying there's no sound on YouTube. I'm not sure what's going on there. Sure. I think it's time. Perhaps a quick answer on the question from Antonio. Says, Mr. Kesh, with the cosmic ray balls, when the container is closed, will it still have an effect, or does it need to be open?
Same, doesn't matter. It's just a cosmetic. The box is just a cosmetic. And the new ones don't have a box because we don't produce them anymore. And the last one we received batches, I think the last few left, they will have no boxes. because we don't have the boxes for them. It's not worth producing them. Time it takes and the rest of it. Then it gets produced in Ukraine and it takes time. But whatever we have, or I don't know if we have any more cosmic light left balls, that's the last of it for the time being. We need all our materials, all our systems. Thank you very much for today, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you. I think we cover most of the questions. There might be one or two left over, and folks can carry them into next week if they wish to. All right. Well, that brings to a close our 642nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 14th, 2026. And we should be back again at the same time and place so far as we know. And if not, we'll let folks know. Our next public teaching workshop will be on Tuesday, May 19th with the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace with the members and support members of the Universal Council, who will be presenting that program. That starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Summer Time. And again, that's on Tuesday, the 19th. Okay, and speaking of the Universal Council, I have their invitation to show and read here. Let me get that organized. I think you can see that. I'll just read it. It's from Lissy from the Universal Council. And it goes, we, the Universal Council, invite the Kesh and Universal family present on the earth in unifying at the soul level every time, every day at 9 p.m. Central European Time or Central European Summer Time. We, the Universal Council, give from our souls and invite all of humanity to elevate the soul of every leader in every nation, to work as one soul in one direction, to achieve peace as one nation, one planet, one race. Okay, thank you, Lissy, for that. And thank you, everybody, for being here and attending today's Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And of course, a big thank you to Mr. Kesh for making this knowledge possible and continuing these consecutive Knowledge Seekers Workshops, continuous for the last 642 weeks. And so we thank him very much for his work in the world and his work beyond the world. All right, that's it for now, other than we'll go out in our usual manner with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit. And again, thank you everyone for being here.